moderator and your colleague moderator, members of the search committee, members of council present, my colleagues, staff of Makerere University, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Chair, I have worked under 6 vice chancellors since I joined Makerere University in 1987. Under 6 great men. Unfortunately, for the moment, not yet. I haven't worked under the opposed together, but I worked under 6 great men who have nurtured me and mentored me. And you can see I came here, appointed first as a lecturer, growing through the ranks, and I pioneered the head of the department, the Department of Architecture, until my current position as the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Finance and Administration. I also have held several key assignments. Practically every Vice Chancellor under whom I have served has given me special assignments of great importance to this university. Academic leadership. As I said, I pioneered the Department of Architecture, pioneered the course, and within 5 years attained the accreditation by the Commonwealth Association of Architects, becoming one of only 3 universities, 3 architecture programs on the African continent at that time to be accredited. I have, of course, been external examiner in very many universities. I have been leading curriculum development and very many other academic activities. I have been a proficient research leader and manager, and I have chaired the largest research program ever in the history of Makerere University, and that's the CEDA program. And during that tenure, when CEDA was celebrating their 30 years of the SARIC program, the Makerere program was voted the best in the whole world. I have coordinated and chaired very many other important research programs, coordinated very many, but probably the one that catches everybody's imagination in Uganda these days is the leadership, my leadership under which the Kira EV was developed. And you can see here the Kira EV. As I have said, I'm also a proficient researcher. I am probably the most proficient researcher in vernacular architecture on the African continent. I have published more than 40 publications and presented at more than 75 conferences. I am a resource mobilizer. I think that is very natural for me. Everywhere I go, any position I've held, somehow money just keeps coming. I don't know why, but it's a gift from God. I have raised more than $100 million for this university for research alone during the years that I have been in different positions of leadership. And I have listed there those. The new building also said that, people used to laugh at us. They say, you people, you are the engineers, but you're staying in the ugliest building on campus. And I would tell them, this is the most beautiful building. It's just that your perception is a little bit different. But we now have a new building, and we are working on improving the old one. Most recently, I have negotiated with the KCCA. KCCA had actually got permission to take our land without paying a cent. Because they said, you are a government institution, we are also a government institution, this is government land. We said no. The negotiations took very long. At the end, Jennifer Musi said, you are the best negotiator in Uganda. And you can ask her, I'm not telling lies. Now, because of that, we are already seeing a university that looks like a first world university. Modern infrastructure. Like Makerere is the best lit environment in Kampala today, at night. You have heard about Mac Holdings and Makerere Endowment Fund. Those are my brain children. Of course, working with my colleagues. But the Makerere holdings, if we implement what I called the Makerere Infrastructure Development Marshall Plan, if we implement it fully, we will more than double our income. Some people have even argued it will be much more than double. And we have established that. We are helping them to go ahead. PPPs are still a new thing in Uganda. There are still some issues, but they are at advanced stage. Of course, you see, I'm campaigning for funds, campaigning for the Makerere Fund Run. Now, this is going to be a 5-star hotel in Kololo. That 5-star hotel, we are at advanced stages with the transaction advisor through the Makerere Holdings to invest on all our underutilized and dormant lands. This has been something that everybody has been talking. We have been blamed by everybody. The president has been saying, why can't you invest on our lands? That is now becoming a reality because of my contribution. This is going to be a 3-star hotel at Makerere to replace the current guest house. And it will also be a convention center. That's another view of the 3-star hotel. Now, most of our students stay off campus, not because they choose to, but because we don't have the facilities. We, under that same program, we want to put up 5 modern hostels for students using, again, the PPP. So this is just one of the proposed hostels on campus. Those are apartments. Together with the 5-star hotel in Kololo, we plan to have apartments. Makerere is ranked number 4 in Africa. It is ranked number 500 in the world.
Could we have silence, please?
That makes Makerere
Could we allow the candidate to talk?
That makes Makerere one of the best universities in the world by any standard. But we are the only major university without a hospital. We are planning to have a teaching hospital in Katalemwa. These are the architectural impressions. Human resource. I have been seeing my colleagues arguing on the WhatsApp and the mailing list. Management, you did nothing. You know, even the enhancement came by itself. I hope I have clarified that you are having this enhancement because I and my colleagues took a certain step. So it did not come out of the blue. I have done quite a bit in improving our load. Resolution of the pension areas. We have had this problem for a very long time. It took very good negotiation for government to take over our debt of 30 billion shillings. Staff health insurance policy. This has again been on the books for many years until last year when the council approved the new policy of health insurance, and I'm convinced we should be able to roll that out during this coming financial year. And then, of course, staff development. When I became Dean of the Faculty of Technology, there were about 2 associate professors, no full professor. By the time I left, there were more professors, associate professors, probably than very many colleges in this university. Student affairs. The new fees policy. I never want to brag about what I've done, but today let me do that. It took me sleepless nights drafting this with some colleagues until we agreed with the students and the government, all stakeholders. We agreed on a fees policy that is agreeable to everybody. Protection of the integrity of Makerere credentials. I've been seeing people arguing, why transcript? What we have told them, it is better to get a transcript that everybody will believe in than rushing to get one which is not. And this is because of the tampering with our systems, which was tarnishing the image of our university. And one day I said, no, enough is enough. And that will never happen again. Security I've talked about. support, guidance, and counseling, and then proactive communication. No, I'm on all student WhatsApp lists. They go, they insult me there, and I say thank you for saying that, and then sometimes they say, that's good. So keeping constant communications with all our stakeholders. Now, we are seated here today in a hall which befits Makerere University, but you remember a few years back, what you would find here, broken chairs and something, but now you can bring presidents here and they are given honorary awards, and you can say we have one of the best halls in this country. The same thing with the senior command room. The roads I've already talked about, and so on. Very soon, you'll be entering Makerere University through this gate. It is already under construction. That's why that place is closed off. So people who were not here 4 months ago will come and get lost. Partnerships. For some reason, donors just tend to like me. I have interacted, I have initiated MOUs with all that long list of universities, with the government institutions. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to begin interacting with I'm going to say I'm going to enhance what I've already started. We have something called the Makerere University Private Sector Forum, which is a very important organization, but which we have somehow killed. I am at the center of reviving that. When I talk of networking, it is not just with the only local people, but here you see me with the president of Mauritius, the rector of the University of Kuala Lumpur, a delegation from Khartoum, the vice chancellor of the University of Nairobi, the rector of the University College of Dance in Norway. There are many. Honorary awards. Recently, I became the first African to be given an honorary professorship in a Russian university. That is no mean achievement. But I also, of course, received an award which some people have mixed views about from the president. The highest award, Independence Golden Jubilee. You can't get anything higher than that. Professional organizations you read through. Let me go straight to what my program will be. You will see the recap of the strategic plan, and I argue that we have done well. We have done well. Some people have argued, what has happened, but I can tell you, we have worked under difficult conditions under the leadership of Professor Dumba. Okay? If we have managed to do what we have done through those conditions, you must give him credit. Now, what is my vision? I did the SWOT analysis, opportunities and so on, you'll see them, and now looking ahead. My vision is driven by what I have been seeing, what I feel as an African, how we Africans should emancipate ourselves from marginalization, but also by these statements which the president made in the letter appointing the visitation committee, and I hope they are doing a serious job, taking this into account, where the president also talks of marginalization and saying Makerere should be the university that takes us out of that. That is extremely important. There are some quotes about university. So my vision is we want a well-motivated, skillful, resourceful, and vibrant staff. We have the best staff anywhere on the African continent. 60% of our staff are with PhDs. There is no other university with that on the African continent. I think even in the world you can say. Now, we want a satisfied and focused student community. The students must understand they are the future of this country, of this continent. We take the cream of our society. Can they come here and waste time in riots and so on? Can we put in place measures to make sure that they actually concentrate and liberate our continent? And of course, a modern research-led university. There are all those other things, but so what is my business plan? Under governance, I want to revive and revamp all governance structures, complete administrative restructuring, full operationalization of college statute. There have been arguments, the college statute is not one. No, it is working, but we have not fully operationalized it. We will solve a lot of our problems if we devolve most of the power to the colleges. The gender mainstreaming, we are leaders in Africa in gender mainstreaming, but we are beginning to lose that. We need to realize the importance of gender mainstreaming, and that will be a priority. And of course, quality assurance has been an issue. We need to strengthen that unit so that it becomes responsible for ensuring quality in our university. Administrative reforms will include things like, of course, ensuring having an integrated management system. We have the best IT backbone in Africa, outside of South Africa. We can make use of that. In a very few years, Cape Town will be dreaming when they became #1 in Africa. Academic reforms. This is a touchy issue. The issue of transcripts. This is in the public domain and the public is not happy. We must take this on squarely. I already started doing that, as I told you, even if that is not my docket. But you imagine if I'm now in full control. Anybody who is thinking of tampering with any of our academic records, count your days. Deadlines for marking. We can enforce this. Lecturers should enter their own marks. Where they have problems, I would encourage centralized marking. It is working very well in MOOCs, in courses and other places. And it helps a lot. Now, research, we need to have a research grants office at every college. We need to implement some of the policies that we approved long ago, like every master's and every PhD student having at least a publication during their time. If we do that, I can assure you our number of publications will double. We need to establish central business incubation center and also centers at all the colleges. Now we have a Ministry of Science and Technology. How will that ministry run if they don't deal with us? We are going to deal with them and everything will be okay. The private sector forum I've talked. Now this one is very important. We have been having problems with internship. The chairman of Masaka is here. I have already discussed with the chairman of Masaka, suggesting a model for internship where we sent multidisciplinary student brigades to every district. We have more than 130 districts. If we send 200 students to every district, not only will they learn, they will help the district, they will develop the country, because they will save those districts billions of shillings in so-called consultancy, which students can do at no cost.
Professor, your time is up.
As I sum up resource mobilization, I've already said, I'm going to continue doing the things I've said. Now, financial discipline, I'm going to handle that, staff welfare and retention. Staff are key, and students are key. Any organization will succeed if you get right your personnel and get right your processes. We already have the people. We just need to do a little bit about processes. We shall be way up in the sky. Student affairs, I've talked about that. Now, I'm not just saying this, I have given myself deadlines.
Time is up.
When I was the chair, just 1 minute, when I was presenting here for DVSA Fund, I gave a similar table. After 2 years, I had given myself 4 years. After 2 years, one member of staff said, but you have completed everything you promised. What else are you going to do? Now, watch that space. In conclusion, I would like to say we are a great university. We are a great university. We can transform our society, provided we are focused, we work together, we pull together, not even the sky is a limit. Thank you.
Okay.
Nawangwe, you have given us a very elaborate presentation of what you have done. And so with somebody who has been very familiar with Makerere University's strategic plan, could you just clarify to the public what instruments you used, or if you didn't use, what instruments you plan to use to implement the strategic plan?
A strategic plan is setting your goal. Where do I want to be? Like we said that time, in 10 years, we want to be a research-led university. What instruments did we use? We used, of course, research grants. We used staff development and aggressive staff development policy was used. How am I going to handle this? I have already said we have the best staff. I have already said we are going to set up research grants offices. I want research output in every college to double by the time I leave this office. So that is one very important tool that I will use.
Makerere University last year was closed almost 2 months. And there are so many stakeholders outside Makerere University. How sure are we? Because the programs and the life that was really hampered or stopped in that time of the closure of the university is untold.
Please.
My question is, what is the future of Makerere University from that office you're currently holding again to the one of VC?
Yes, your presentation was hilarious right from the start. You talked of 5-star hotels and 3-star, 7-star, I don't know, and apartments and all that. But we are looking at, don't you think there are more dire situations that Makerere is facing other than you talking about hotels and constructing so many things?
Professor, I would like you to comment on the thorny issue of incentives and the fate of the evening programs in Makerere University. Thank you very much.
I would like to continue being proud of Makerere University. Professor, I would like to hear from you. What are the opportunities that you'll put in place to ensure that all staff, male and female, have equitable opportunities, and all students, both potential students and continuing students, have an opportunity to enter the university. And when they enter the university, they will feel protected and safe in this environment and live proud of Makerere University. Thank you.
Professor Nawangwe, your presentation was full of architectural designs, and I was so impressed. But the architecture didn't cover your comments about 3 things. 1, incentive. 2, the huge bill of the university. And then 3, the government takeover of the university bill, wage bill. What do you have to say about that? Thank you very much.
Professor Nawangwe, thank you very much for the presentation. Indeed, it's promising to Makerere if we have to see a great mark. 2 things. 1 is complementary. I have seen all the plans, but I still believe that MAC, just like any other powerful universities on this planet Earth, they've managed to be who they are through full internationalization. That I have completely missed in this small book. My question is, this is to do with all of us staff at Makerere. How are you planning? I'm sorry if it may affect most of us, including myself. How are you planning to deal with the gap on recycling incompetent staff, including, among others, almost all the administrative offices here in the main building and the Senate? I'm sorry, but I have to say it.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The first question from Mr. Agava moves. What is the future of Makerere since it was closed for 2 months? Makerere has not been closed once. It has been closed many times. And each time it is closed, it emerges even stronger. However, that is not to exonerate that, if you want to say, disruptive culture. I have argued with the visitation committee, and that's why I was saying I hope they do a serious job. That there is no young country that has developed without a strong academic institution. If we want to develop and reach middle income status by 2040, Makerere cannot be left out. My first assignment is to implore upon government that in Makerere you have a very rare asset. You have an asset which you can use to transform this country. This is first and foremost a government institution. Somebody criticized my beautiful architectural plans. Don't look at the architectural plans and you say, how about the other issues? What is the message behind that? If we implemented that, I mentioned, if we implemented that, we would double our income, our revenue. That would definitely address most of the problems we have. And let's not think that our problems are just finances only. We need to deal with other issues. So, we don't want Makerere to keep closing. We want to work with all the stakeholders, including the students, to say, we are a premier university on this continent. We cannot afford to keep losing time every year. The next question was from Professor Vantevia, incentive and evening programs. This is a very touchy issue, which we have all debated. But let me repeat what I've been saying so that you don't think I've changed my mind. At the time we introduced the incentive, there were conditions which made it the best option at that time. And even if many of us have been denying that when we were negotiating, we made it very clear. Let's introduce it as a stopgap measure as we negotiate with the government to take over the wage bill and enhance salaries. We have somehow succeeded in the enhancement, although not fully. We must be honest to ourselves. If and when the government comes in and helps us, we cannot keep carrying a heavy yoke. The incentive has drained us dry. It is a threat for us. It has the potential of damaging this university to unrepairable levels. I'm going to tell this to government. Hasten the pledge you made. Take over the wage bill. Allow Makerere University to breathe. Council is already discussing the issue of evening programs, because definitely we must compensate people who are working beyond their ordinary call of duty. And since you hear from me very often, you'll hear from me very soon about this. The lady from the National Organization of Women, I'm sorry I didn't capture the name very well. Equitable opportunities. If institutions were to be given medals, Makerere should have been given a medal long ago. We are the first university in Africa to implement the what do you call it? Affirmative action for our girls. When that decision was made, the female student population of this university was at 20%. Now, the female student population is at 51%. So, please campaign for a medal for Makerere. But somebody addressed the issue of when they are here, what happens. We have never instituted any aggressive program for male students. But we have had numerous programs to support female students. The Female Scholarship Initiative is a very good one. The MasterCard is targeting female students. So we are doing everything we can to support the female students. The only thing which is on my slides, and maybe I did not have time to do, is how do we fully implement the gender mainstreaming for the rest of the university, especially in places like management. I think we need to deal with that.
Please conclude.
The fifth question was from Dr. Michael Walimbwa. I think your question is very similar to that of Professor Vantevia, but maybe the question of the debt. I've told you we already successfully negotiated for takeover by government of a very huge debt, 30 billion shillings. That was no mean achievement. Now that we succeeded there, you can trust me. Even the other debt will slowly disappear. The last question was from Dr. Josephine Nabukenya. Internationalization. I thought that is the place where I dwelt most. We are a very international university. We have MOUs with more than 200 organizations, international and local. You could probably say, are we implementing this? We are implementing most of them, and we shall enhance that. Recycling. Now, we are not a private organization where somebody wakes up and says, I have fired you. We are a public institution which must abide by the law. And there are laws governing labor relations. It is not that easy to simply get rid of a person. You may end up paying much more. I'm not exonerating rotten apples, if you want to say. But first of all, I want to say, and this is a wrong impression created, that our administrative and support staff are all useless and what. No. We have the best administrative staff I have known. Working in the conditions in which they are working, we need to appreciate them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof.
But I will put in place measures to improve their lot, including promotions. We are promoting academic staff all the time. Council has sort of resolved on that, and that should be implemented very soon. So, for the few who are bad or inefficient, there are administrative measures. You know that some of them have actually been removed from the university, but we must go through proper legal procedures.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.